In today's lesson, we're going to talk about how to add and subtract rational expressions. Now, adding and subtracting rational expressions is probably one of the most challenging things for a lot of students. But if you take your time, relax, and work through it one step at a time, you'll do fine. You might find it helpful to watch the video once, at least the first example, to kind of get an idea how we're going to go through this, and then go back and actually take the notes. Let's take a look at our first example, and there's a few things that we already know that are going to be very helpful for this. The first thing that you already know comes from elementary school. You know that when you add or subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. The number on the bottom has to be the same. Once it's the same, we do this. We add the numbers on the top, 4 plus 12, that gives us 16. And we keep the common denominator, the 31. So 4 over 31 plus 12 over 31 equals 16 over 31. The idea of needing common denominators is identical when we're working with rational expressions. Take a look at this. In example 1, we want to add these two fractions together. 5x plus 9 over x squared minus 25 plus 16 over x squared minus 25. I saw that we're adding these together, and so the first thing I thought is, oh boy, I better have a common denominator. Well, look at this. X squared minus 25, x squared minus 25. We do have a common denominator. Perfect. Our life has just been made a whole lot simpler. Once we have a common denominator, we simply take everything that's on the top and we write it down. 5x plus 9 plus 16. And then we write the common denominator right on the bottom that we already had. That's the x squared minus 25. Now we have a little cleanup work to do. We can combine like terms. 9 plus 16 is 25. So we have 5x plus 25 over that same common denominator, x squared minus 25. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and do what we've always done, factor and cancel. We factor the numerator, we end up with 5 times x plus 5. When we factor the denominator, we have x plus 5 and x minus 5. We have x plus 5's here that cancel out. We're left with 5 over x minus 5. Now, we can't forget about the undefined values, the numbers that we can't plug into this function. If we have x plus 5, well, x cannot be negative 5. If we have x minus 5, x could not be equal to 5. So it's undefined at x equals positive or negative 5. So here we have our fractions written in simplest form. When you add these two together, this is what you get. And remember, plug any numbers into these that you want and plug it into that, and the number that comes out will be the same. Example 2 is very similar, but with subtraction. Let's take a look at that. Here we have 4b over 5b minus 10 minus b plus 6 over 5b minus 10. I saw we had subtraction. The first thing I thought is, oh boy, I hope I have a common denominator. I look down here, and lo and behold, I do. 5b minus 10, 5b minus 10. Once again, my life is a whole lot simpler because I already have that common denominator. Now I'll take everything that's on the top, 4b minus the b plus 6. Now be very careful here. It's minus everything that's over here, so we have to distribute that negative. That's why I wrote the stuff here in parentheses. So we have 4b minus b plus 6 over 5b minus 10. Now I distribute the negative. That gives me 4b minus b minus 6. And I can combine like terms. 4b minus 1b is 3b minus 6. So I have 3b minus 6 over that common denominator, the 5b minus 10. So I've done all the hard work. I have a common denominator, I distributed my negative, I combined like terms, and now I have a nice little fraction like this. Now it's just business as usual. Factor, cancel, and write the undefineds. When we factor this, we have 3 times b minus 2 over 5 times b minus 2. And I have b minus 2's here that cancel each other out. I'm left with 3 over 5. Let's not forget the undefined values. B minus 2 could not be 0, so b could not be 2. So take any numbers you want, plug them into this. You're always going to end up with 3/5. And by the way, you can never plug the number 2 into the fraction. Example 3 is for you to try. It's actually just like this. It has subtraction, where you have to put the thing after the minus in the parentheses, and then distribute the negative. Use this example as your guide. Try example 3, pause the video here, and then come on back when you're finished. We'll see how you did. Let's see how you did. We began with 2k squared over k squared plus 3k minus k squared plus 9 over k squared plus 3k. I saw that I had subtraction, but I do have a common denominator, so life is good. I'll simply take everything that I have here in the numerator and write it into one big fraction. Don't forget, everything after that minus sign is in parentheses. You have to distribute it. Distribute that. I have 2k squared minus k squared minus 9 over the common denominator. Now I can combine like terms. 2k squared minus 1k squared, 1k squared, minus 9, again over the common denominator. Now it's business as usual. Factor and cancel. This is k plus 3, k minus 3. This is k times k plus 3. My k plus 3's canceled each other right out there. I'm left with k minus 3 over k. And we can't forget our undefined values. K cannot be 0 or negative 3. Example 4 is the last example in today's lesson. It's also the most simple. Please pause the video here, try example 4, and then come on back when you're finished. Let's see how you did. We have 5 over a plus a minus 5 over a. We have common denominators, so life is good. We put things together into one fraction. 5 plus a minus 5 over a. And now we'll combine like terms. 5 minus 5, well, they cancel each other out, that's 0. I'm left with a over a. And oh, a over a, those cancel each other out, and you simply get the number 1. So this sum here, 5 over a plus a minus 5 over a, is really the number 1. And in fact, try it. Plug any numbers in here that you want, except for 0 where it's undefined. Plug any other number in here, 1, 5, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 315, whatever you want, and this will always come out to be simply the number 1. So here's what you need to know. When you're adding and subtracting, you have to have a common denominator. Once you have a common denominator, go ahead, bring everything together into one fraction. If you have to distribute the negative because you had subtraction, go ahead and do that. Once you've done that, combine like terms, factor, cancel, and then find your undefined values. That's everything you need to know about working with basic addition and subtraction involving rational expressions.